We are back and past the halfway point, but the fun is still going. Welcome to Pivotal Change if you're just now picking up with us, and we have brought back a familiar face. We have Ryan Herpin returning with us. Ryan, welcome back to the show, sir.
It's always a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure is mine, I can assure you of that. Well, we've been picking your brain for a long time, and we're just going to continue riding that train for a while. So I want to ask you a little bit more personally about your services and stuff like that. And I want to talk specifically to you. What is your ideal client profile that you like to work with? And again, when you tell us about who you like to work with, tell us the why as well, please.
Yeah, my ideal client is a business leader who is growth minded and may feel like they're stuck or overwhelmed with operational or leadership challenges. I enjoy working with those who are open to change and are willing to take actionable steps because it's where the most impactful transformation happens. It's extremely gratifying and ultimately where I find my fulfillment when I help a business owner or a team overall get out of a position where they feel like they're working to live rather than where they feel like they're living to work, so to say. And seeing a team make that change and become more cohesive, more productive, and happier, it's extremely satisfying and it helps me kind of keep that fire burning bright.
I like that a lot. So you're telling me that if you find somebody that is growth minded and open to change, that type of person, when they receive advice from an expert, is going to be happier in life.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. It's when you work with somebody who is also open-minded and open to change and growth and positive impact. It's almost like the best athletes have a tough coach. And it's when you have somebody that's willing to push you, hold you accountable, and put forth effort in you and identify things in you that you may not see yourself. Those are all things that are extremely and deeply appreciated and help propel you forward.
I like that a lot. I really like that a lot. So that client profile, very similar to me, is that if you find somebody that's open, they're growth minded, they are ready to receive some form of education, that they're going to be the best suited to work with a consultant like yourself. We go and I do a lot of coaching, and we always tell our athletes, if I walk over and try to critique a technique or ask you to stand here or do that, and you say, I know. Anytime you get the response from somebody, especially a teenager, says, okay, I know, they're obviously not open for for that. So how do you begin your consulting relationships with your clients? And then, if you identify things like that, how do you weed them out or navigate them? Tell me about your first steps, and why are those first steps in forming that relationship of a client to identify that profile so important?
Yeah, I start with the discovery phase, diving into their goals, challenges, and current operations. This includes conversations with leadership and key team members, as well as reviewing existing systems and metrics. These steps are crucial for uncovering the root cause of problems, ensuring we're addressing the right problems, and aligning strategies with their vision. It's it's really, really important in the beginning stages to ask all the right questions. And one of the best questions to ask leadership of any kind is, what's your reason why? Why do you want to be a leader? Why do you want to improve? Why do you want to be effective? What's the purpose of running this business, pursuing this thing? Those questions tend to get you to a lot of root cause problems if you follow them enough. My mentor told me a long time ago, if a problem exists, it's because you haven't asked enough questions. You haven't asked why enough. And I apply that to everyday business now with my clients. If I ask enough questions, I tend to find the problem.
I like that a lot, and I really want to emphasize something to the audience is that our developmental years as human beings, we have probably the most impactful years, preteen to teenagers, in determining our personality, but the largest consumption of data is in the toddler years. And I just think about what you just said. Think about every little toddler as they're sitting around the dinner table or the living room going, but why, daddy? But why, mommy? But why, grandpa? And they say, why? And that ability to ask why accelerates the amount of learning. So I really like what you said. If you're going to be a little bit more like a toddler and just ask why, you're going to find a lot more solutions and possibly accelerate your learning. That's a really good point that you've made. So let's go back to talking with these clients. You've done your information gathering meeting. You've asked them about their workflows. You've asked them about their why. What are some of the most common blind spots that you're starting to find? What do you see consistently among the leadership and in the operations that they're not seeing? This is broken, needs more efficiency or effort. it needs attention, and they just don't realize it.
I would say one of the biggest blind spots is a lack of alignment between leadership's vision and day-to-day operations.
Hmm.
Another is ineffective delegation. Leaders really often should, honestly, leaders often hold on to way too much. They stall the growth of the team. They stall the development because it's a problem with a letting go and trusting that somebody else can do this task or do this thing and potentially even do it better than you. That's not as much of a common fear or concern, but it is something that I have seen in a few cases where someone's afraid to let things go because they've been the rock star that's taken care of it. And if they pass along, somebody else could be that rock star. But really, transparency and regular meetings to keep everyone together can really eliminate those consistent blind spots of the disconnect between vision and operations.
I like that. And you emphasize it at the beginning and the end is there's a disconnect between the operations of, hey, this is what we're showing up and doing every day, and the vision that we're trying to achieve. And if people aren't in alignment with that, and I know we've talked about alignment in the past a lot, if they're not in alignment with that, that's the biggest blind spot. People just aren't even looking or paying attention to that area to try to nurture it to make it better. And then the other one is delegation. And I really like how you emphasize the fear that somebody won't do it right, or possibly the other side of that coin, the fear that somebody might actually do it and be better than you. Um, so tell me, how do you address some of those issues when you find a blind spot? How do you communicate it and say, hey, here's the areas we're going to work on?
So it's really got to come from a place of not so much trying to be critical. It's more of coming from a place of, hey, this is what I see, and this is what I think could change. And you've got to approach it asking the right questions. It's got to all be question based. Something that I've learned over my years in this business, it's it's better to have somebody find the solution themselves over giving them the solution. So if you ask
Mhm.
enough questions, you can lead somebody down a road or a train of thought till they come to the place you want them to be, where in the end, you're getting the solution. But remember, in this type of field, when you're trying to help somebody make change, grow, develop, and improve, you've got to look at results, long-term results in the objective. And it's statistically more impactful for somebody to discover the solution on their own. Even if you led them, it's still them discovering it.
I like that a lot. That's the Rogerian theory. It's one of my favorite methods to use. Is you just keep asking the questions until self discovery occurs, and I think that's where a consultant like yourself could be so valuable. And so that's one of your other steps is identifying all those through the that little bit of massaging of asking those questions. How long does it usually take you inside of like a consulting relationship before everyone really starts to kind of click, top to bottom? They start to get it, so to speak, and then the momentum can start moving forward, get it going in the right direction on a unified front.
So typically, I'd say it takes 3 to 6 months for significant momentum. It really depends on the company's readiness to embrace change and the complexity of the challenges. Once leadership demonstrates commitment, alignment and progress often follow pretty quickly.
I like that a lot. So readiness compared to complexity. I'm a math guy, so I'm going to figure out a formula at that. But that will determine timeliness. And if you have completely ready and willing people, and they just need somebody to say, "Hey, take us from A to Z," and point out all the stops along the way, you're talking about the ability to hit the accelerator. Where if you have a lot of alignment issues where people don't understand how it connects to vision, why am I changing this piece of my operation? Well, I feel like everything's going fine, but like you said before, the results based focus is that we're not getting the results the way we need. You're going to have to spend some time down in the weeds working through the various levels on that. And what would that look like?
Yeah, so a great example is I worked with a performance shop for about a year, and I would say the most growth they had was after that 3.5 to 4 month mark. From that point on, it took off like a rocket, and it's because their team was ready. So it's identifying the problems, identifying the holes, getting everybody to see why we need to make the changes and what it's going to do, and then developing a plan together. It can't come from just one source. It's got to be a team effort, and from there, you get a massive amount of motivation and a massive amount of buy-in to implementing solutions and staying on top of things consistently. So in that year period, they had a total of 314% growth in revenue. And that Oh, their profits skyrocketed. And it's not because I came up with solutions, it's because I just got the team to find the problems, work together, and solve the problems together and stay consistent on holding each other accountable. It was just a matter of getting the resources that were already there to work together properly. And they had massive change.
I love that. And so I'm hearing a pretty consistent theme, and I think a lot of myself and a lot of people in our realm really say that that 3 to 6 month mark is the transformation period, and then after that is the explosive growth or the really success phase. And too many people want to hit that easy button. They want the quick fix. They give it to me now type of thing. And I always kind of relate it back to fitness, right? You're not going to go bench press, 2 times and then, have some incredible max that you've reached and, this Arnold Schwarzenegger look about you. So that's really important. And I really appreciate you emphasizing that most people have all the components and tools they need. They're just not putting them together. And it reminds me of that game Mousetrap from when we were kids. You had this big box, and of course, part of the game was assembling it along the way, and then seeing who can actually get the mechanism to work. Well, it's no longer a game. It's not just for fun. We got people like Ryan Herpin out here to build it with us for us, so that it's a solutions, like you said. Everybody's doing it together, right?
Yes, yeah, it's imperative to have the whole team involved. That's where you get buy-in from top to bottom.
Awesome. Well, Ryan, that's a perfect spot for us to jump to a commercial break. Everyone else, sit back for the final segment of the night. We're going to continue this conversation and keep getting into the meat of things. We'll be right back with more pivotal change right after this.